Welcome to the Vet Dental Show. I'm Brett Beckman, board certified veterinary dentist, and we bring this podcast to you every Wednesday as a veterinarian, as a technician, as a dentistry team to help you be even better at veterinary dentistry in your practice. We're sponsored and partnered today with the Veterinary Dental Practitioner Program. If you're interested in being among the best anywhere in general practice as a team in veterinary dentistry, I invite you to request an invitation. Just go to ivdi.org/INV, like invitation, first three letters INV. So IVDI, International Veterinary Dentistry Institute, ivdi.org/INV, and we'll get you the information that you need. What I'm going to do is, and I'm no expert in this by any means, but I do like to incorporate a lot of these practices within my own life. And I think it's super important that I pass on these things to my friends, students, and colleagues that listen to this podcast, because it's super important in our day-to-day and how we interact with our loved ones, our coworkers, how we interact with ourselves, and how we feel on a daily basis. And what I'm referring to is, in this particular episode, the 4 basic things that we need to be functioning at our best. And those we'll discuss briefly, those 4 things. And then following episodes, we'll talk about some things that are impactful in that same context that will give you a good idea and some resources that you can implement that will incrementally get you where you're performing better. We always are trying to better ourselves if we are of the growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Growth mindset, we are the ones that are really forging that path of our progress in life and in work and in play. If we're in a fixed mindset, we are lost. We are at the mercy of circumstances. So that growth mindset is constant learning, curiosity, and incorporating the things that you're curious about into actual practices. So hopefully some of these things will be of benefit to you. I think one component of these 4 major things that make you feel your best every day and are absolutely essential for peak performance is more impactful than the others. And I think it's the number one thing that, and this is all science backed. So this is the number one thing that the research shows that impacts you positively more than anything else that you can do, or more than any supplement you can take, or more than any group of supplements that you can take to be at your best. And that is the first of the 4, which is sleep. The other, which enhances sleep and has a lot of interaction with sleep and our brains, is exercise. And the third, obviously, you probably guess what the third is. The third's proper nutrition. And we won't go into nutrition a lot because nutrition is certainly an individual thing, and individual preferences weigh into what we choose from a nutrition standpoint. So we won't touch on that a lot. And then surprisingly, and this is not something that we've known forever, although back in ancient times they knew this, they didn't need research to back it up, but breathwork and meditation have now taken the stage in a lot of the research that's going on in brain science. And we know that these 4 things, sleep, exercise, nutrition, breathwork, and meditation, are absolutely key to being excellent at what you do and coming to work and coming to life with a meaning and with a purpose and with a edge over everybody else. So let's talk about sleep in particular first, because it's so impactful. And again, the research supports this. And there was a study done by the Occupational Environmental Medicine in the Occupational Environmental Medicine Journal, Williamson and Fayer, and they found that sleep-deprived people, when put into performance and accuracy settings, and that is mainly in simulations for driving a car, with 18 hours of wakefulness with no sleep, the person that was sleep deprived had equal performance deficits as if they had a 0.0% blood alcohol level, which is legally drunk. It would probably be the equivalent of 3 or 4 drinks or 5 beers along that line. So that is a dramatic and fairly recent study that was done that proves that sleep can cause tremendous deficits in what we do from a performance level, from a cognitive level, from a physical level. And so it highlights this talk about sleep that's happening now, certainly in the media, and that we're hearing more about, because again, the research is really getting to the point where it's very voluminous, and we know that these things impact us dramatically. So getting enough sleep is indeed the big thing. And what happens during sleep that makes it so important? We know that we need to sleep, but there's certainly that old contention, I'll sleep when I die, and that's probably pretty accurate, because if you don't get enough sleep, studies show that it can take 5 to 7 years off your life if you are chronically sleep deprived. So very impactful to be able to incorporate some of the things that we're going to talk about into your life. And I think it's pretty dramatic to think about what happens when we sleep. And we won't go into a lot of the brain science, but essentially what happens is we've got the glymphatic system, not lymph, but glymphatic, starting with the G. And it's associated with this perivascular network throughout the brain. And essentially what it does, it replenishes brain chemistry and cleanses the brain when we sleep. And that mainly occurs during the phase of deep sleep. And so getting to the point where you're getting a significant amount of sleep allows you to have a significant amount of deep sleep, which helps the brain to cleanse itself every night to make it so that when you wake up, you are fresh, you're ready to go, you're ready to start the day. And what an easy, and I hate to use the word hack, because it's not. A hack is so associated with do something quick and get a heads up on something, because you're bypassing the way it's supposed to be by hacking it. This sleep hack would be a bad term, but if just thinking about it from that standpoint, the one thing that you can do to really get a jump on everything is make sure that's a big component of your life, that you're actually putting in your calendar the time that you're going to sleep, the time that you're waking up. And the recommendation is generally 9 hours in bed and 8 hours of that sleep. And none of that time in bed is other than for sleeping. When you get in bed, you lay down to sleep, and that is what that bed is for. So we'll get into that a little bit more in a few minutes, but we're finding that the glymphatic clearance plays a huge role in the development of a healthy brain over time, and it plays a significant role in Alzheimer's pathology. If you don't get enough sleep, you're much more likely to have Alzheimer's as you age. So this one lifestyle change could make a significant impact on healthy brain aging in your life and in the life of your loved ones as well. So let's talk about some of the things that we can do. We talked about the timing part, and essentially throughout evolution, we have the time clock that's set, or that was set, especially with our ancestors way back when there were no lights and the end of the day was the end of the day, that you slept in the evening, you woke up in the morning, and a lot of that has gotten disrupted in our lifetime, in our lifestyle. Some of those things are the lights that we have, the LED lights that we have in our house, the blue lights that we're constantly distracted with on computer screens and on cell phones. All of those things take away from that normal circadian rhythm that is light and dark, that sets the majority of our, as an individual, the majority of our sleep and wake cycle. And so the closer that we can mimic that, the more effective our sleep's going to be. And now that certainly depends on your job and whether you're a lark or a night owl, and all of the things that you've heard about people that perform better during the day, people that perform better at night. But the majority of us perform much better during those normal circadian daylight hours. Some things that you can do with that is make sure that when you do get to the point where you're ready to go to bed, if you want 8 hours of sleep, you track or calendar for 9, and generally that's a pretty good estimation about how much sleep you're going to get, because you do wake up during the night, and it does take you a little while to get to sleep sometimes. So tracking that and putting it into a calendar is really important in order to do that. But some of the things that will help with that is create a dark environment. So the pineal gland still picks up on any ambient light in that room. So as long as it's totally black in that room, or as dark as you can get it, that's certainly a nice thing to set the stage for a good night's sleep. You can use blackout curtains, you can use blackout blinds, or something as simple as a sleep mask to block out any light. Certainly noise. My challenge is my wife snores, and so a lot of times I will either start off the day or start off the night, if I know I've got something important that next day, and sleep in a different room. Or it may be, if I'm not going to work, or I don't have anything important, what I'll do is just hope that doesn't happen and wake me up. But if it does and it's persistent, at that point, I'll go into that other room. Noise, you certainly want to eliminate any noise, unless you have a quiet white noise device. And that will help a lot of people, and just provides that nice baseline masking noise that might mask out any acute noise that might happen during the night. And certainly some good earplugs. I use Heroes earplugs that are super effective, and I would strongly recommend those. I actually had used those yesterday at the Sanford Air Show here in Atlanta, with all the F-22s and the Thunderbirds that were going by. They were just deafening. So fortunately, we remembered, my wife and I went to see that. We remembered to bring our earplugs. So same thing at night. You can wear those. They might take a little bit getting used to, but you can wear those, and those will help to drown out any noise that might wake you up otherwise. The thing that I didn't realize that is impactful as well is the timing of caffeine. I didn't realize that caffeine, and we can also throw alcohol and nicotine into that mix, all of them ideally are not consumed up to 12 hours before going to bed. And for me, for caffeine, it's not unusual for me to have a coffee at noon or 1 o'clock. I've cut out caffeine, and certainly with all the great coffees now, the decafs, if you're a caffeine drinker, can substitute for that taste, and certainly can't substitute for the lift it gets, but certainly can give you an alternative if you have trouble sleeping, especially. One of the biggest impacts on whether you sleep or not is exercise. And we mentioned exercise is one of the top 4 things that you can do to get your game at its best. And exercise, preferably daily, but at least 3 or 4 times a week, intense exercise over a 45-minute period or so is what is recommended. And I know personally that I sleep much better when I've done an intense workout during the day. And usually I try to do it in the morning, but you just don't want to get it at an interval that's close to bedtime, because then you've got a lot of sympathetic stimulation. You've got the neurochemicals that will keep you awake if you try to exercise any closer than 3 hours pre-bedtime. So avoid exercise in the evening that close to bed. And then the other thing that is recommended is that you don't eat any closer than 2 hours before you go to sleep. And there's many reasons for that, but part of the reason is that glymphatic clearance of the harmful toxins that have built up during energy use during the day in the brain, and that process occurs on an empty stomach. So if you are eating right before bedtime, you're compromising that clearance of those substances within your brain. So hopefully that gives you a great overview of the sleep portion of those 4 very important things that you can do to maximize your performance. And this is not only in work, it's in play, it's in your interactions with people, it's in your ability to stick to task and get things done. Overall, there's not anything else that you can do that's more important to that. And we're off topic a little bit because this is a veterinary dentistry podcast, but at the same time, you guys are friends, you're colleagues, and I think it's super important that we are cognizant of the importance of these things, and especially now since the research is so supportive of all of the things that I mentioned with exercise, meditation, sleep, and nutrition. So I hope you've enjoyed this. We'll follow this up in subsequent episodes. Have a great week, and hopefully we'll see each other soon, either live or online. Take care. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you'd like more information about the Veterinary Dental Practitioners Program, please submit to request an invitation at ivdi.org/INV.